Boy, oh boy, a great win on Christmas Eve for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to really solidify our place in terms of where things are going to look like, where we're going to be in terms of playoffs and all of that. Jags were supposed to be a team that was, I think, 8-3, they said, and now has lost 4 straight. So definitely an impressive win overall. I know Trevor Lawrence was out the last couple of games and was back, but overall, a great performance on these holidays. However, before I get into my reaction, if you are new here, I am Rami B. Make sure you click the subscribe button down below. I post weekly Buccaneer reaction videos. So let's get into it. I'm gonna try to keep it brief. It's the holidays. I hope everyone has a wonderful holidays with their families and loved ones. I have family in town, so I'm not trying to be on here doing it too long. However, we gotta get into it though. The Buccaneers won a 30-12 game against the Jacksonville Jaguars at home. The Buccaneers had 335 yards of total offense, 266 passing with 69 rushing, one of the lower rushing productions we've had in the last month or so. The Jags had 305 total yards of offense with 268 passing and 37 rushing. Pretty much even in the passing game, really no rushing at all. But our offense, shout out to our offense over the last 2 to 3 weeks. It's as if Canales kind of flipped the offense all the way around, took the leash off, or maybe Bowles got desperate for his job and told Canales, do what you got to do. But this offense has looked very lethal. The offense looked very productive, effective, creative, everything you can think of. Wide receivers are running wide open. And this is kind of the offense that we've envisioned based on the things Canales was saying in the offseason and beginning of the year, and it looks like it's finally coming to fruition as the team gets more comfortable. Baker Mayfield had another outstanding game, 26-35 for 284 yards and 2 touchdowns. That puts him in 2 games. He's like, over 80% completion, right around 80% completion, 600, almost 700 yards and 6 touchdowns. So he's playing probably the best ball he's played in his career, considering we don't really have an effective or consistent run game. Rachaad White, 20 for 38, 1 touchdown, very low, 1.9 yards per carry, which was the lowest he's had in quite a few weeks as well. And then Chase Edmonds, 10 for 25. However, on the receiving end, Mike Evans, doing Mike Evans things, 7 catches, 86 yards and 2 touchdowns. It put him at 13 touchdowns for the season, which would mean he's currently leading the NFL. As the time of this recording, Tyreek Hill has 12 and has not scored against the Dallas Cowboys, but there was about 6-7 minutes left in the game, so he could score a touchdown and tie Evans. But right now, Evans is leading the NFL in receiving touchdowns, or is tied in the lead with Tyreek Hill. Overall, now he is at 94 touchdowns all time. He was tied with Davante Adams and Gronk, but at 92. But because of the 2 today, he's at 94, and now is 12th overall, 12th all time in history. He passed Davante Adams, which was really his only competition in terms of current active players. So now Evans is the leading active player in the NFL in terms of overall touchdowns, and then passing Gronk, who I think with the retirement seasons, Gronk played 2 extra seasons than him. So he surpassed Gronk in 2 less seasons, and obviously with less talented quarterbacks when you consider Glennon, McCown, Jameis, Fitzpatrick, Baker, Brady only 3 years. Gronk had Brady's entire career. Obviously the numbers can still change. 2 more games, hoping Evans gets another 2 against the Saints, and then maybe 1 or 2 more if we're going to start our starters against the Panthers. Godwin had 6 catches for 79 yards, Trey Palmer 4 for 42, and nobody else had over 40 yards. So like I said, the offense overall is very effective and lethal, and something changed. The play calling is very different. Maybe it's using Rachaad White more as a pass catcher and having him have to open up the field a little more. I don't know what it is, but overall, great. Defensively as well, this is probably one of the better defensive performances in a while. Now, granted, the defense is not locking down opponents anymore, but we did have 4 turnovers. But let me go through the individual stats. Levante David had a sack. Yaya Diaby had 1.5 sacks and a forced fumble of Trevor Lawrence. Devin White, half sack and a pick. McCollum, a sack, and Winfield had a sack, a pick, and a fumble recovery again. Antoine Winfield should be in argument or in debate for Defensive Player of the Year. He is the highest graded safety and has numbers across every statistic you can get. And there was a number I saw the other day, I think it was after last week, like the number of sacks and turnovers. Nobody's done that since like 2002 or whatever the case is. So the defense today balled out with the turnovers. Trevor Lawrence, he had a really rough day. 17 of 29 for 211 yards, a touchdown, 2 picks, and a fumble. And then CJ, I never know how to say his name, Beathard had 11 for 15, 94 yards and a touchdown. Again, a lot of that coming in garbage time when the score was already 30-0. They were able to score 2 touchdowns and not convert the 2-point conversions. The leading rusher was Trevor Lawrence, 4 for 29. Etienne had 6 for 12. At one point with about 5 minutes left in the third, 6 minutes, they had 0 rushing yards overall. So again, kind of more like in garbage time. And they're receiving an Ingram 10 for 95, or at least 6 for 90. And I want to say he had 2 touchdowns, and then nobody else had over 40 receiving yards. So overall dominant performance against a team that's reeling, but a team that's desperate. I mean, their division is wide open. I think they're still leading it if I remember correctly, but it was a wide open division, and you know, the Colts could come back. But overall, the Buccaneers played probably one of their more complete games, and definitely something changed. We were on a 4-game win streak. We have 2 games left. We could finish this season, you know, at 10-7, which would be further than a lot of people were saying a month ago. A month ago we were saying, you know, 8-9 maybe can creep into the playoffs, but the way things are looking right now, we could potentially go 10-7. The division though, the Saints lost on Thursday night, the Falcons won today, and the Panthers lost. So as of right now, the Bucs are still in first place, solely in first place with an 8-7 record. We still have to play the Saints next week, and if we win that, we tie up the division, and then we play at Carolina after, which means we could potentially rest our starters that game. I think if we lose to the Saints and still beat the Panthers, I think we still win the division unless, I think so, unless the Saints win out. I don't know exactly the kind of tiebreaker implications, but right now the Saints and Falcons are both tied with a 7-8 record, and the Falcons have the tiebreaker. The Falcons still have to play the Bears and Saints. I think the division, obviously we didn't lock it yet, so there's still other ways that the division can change, and if we lose both games, and you know, there's a lot of things. But the Saints have to play at Tampa, and then they play the Falcons, and then the Panthers are playing the Jags and Bucks. Obviously the Panthers are eliminated from playoff contention, so fate is really in our hands. We just win one more game next week. It would be beautiful to secure it against the Saints at home. We beat them already, I think 24-9. Let's make it like 37-12 or something like that. You know, let's put a beat down on them, and really let the NFL know that we are not just going to be a pushover in the playoffs. At the time of this recording, the Dolphins were beating the Cowboys. I know Cowboys and Eagles are tied, and I think the Cowboys have the tiebreaker, but when it comes to playoffs, we will probably face either the Cowboys or the Eagles. So we'll see. But anyways, I want you all to enjoy your holidays. Next week, big game for the division. But yeah, enjoy your time with your families. Comment down below what you think of the game. And as always, I am out. Let's go! You